about local politics, and now talking about national and world politics. Again, I want to apologize if I don't sound like my normal self, because I'm experiencing quite a bit of pain from a fall yesterday. It wasn't that bad, but it is affecting me. Now, the discussion I want to have today is, what is this that we're hearing about the alt-right? What is the alt-right? Now, of course, alt-right stands for alternative right. Meaning, the alt-right sees the American right as something they don't want to support, and so they seek to introduce an alternative to the right. Now, if you think about what that means, then the alt-right is not the right. This is a name they give themselves. You know, I often hear folks say, well, the alt-right is a real thing because that's what they call themselves, and the alt-left is just something that Sean Hannity made up. Which, in the sense of semantics, is true. However, the alt-right is a left-wing movement seeking to replace and uproot the right. Or, another way it could be expressed is that it's seeking to replace the American idea of what is right and left with the European version. Because, first and foremost, the American idea of right and left is essentially that the American right is individualist and the American left is collectivist. In Europe, both the right and the left are collectivist because the idea of individual freedom is an American idea. And so the so-called alt-right essentially seeks to replace Americanism with Europeanism and re-establish the dynamics of politics in America away from an American approach toward a European approach. Basically, the goal of the alt-right is to wipe America off the map and turn America into a European-style country or conglomerate of countries. Excuse me. But we can also look at the substance of the alt-right. First of all, the collectivism versus individualism is certainly a major issue that separates the alt-right from the right. But there's more to it than that. I mean, again, it's a movement to destroy the right and replace it with something that's essentially, from the American standpoint, leftist, however, nationalist, as opposed to globalist. meaning and that's what, the left-right argument is in Europe, is nationalism versus globalism. It's, Brexit and this and that. It has nothing to do with biblical values, has nothing to do with traditional, Judeo-Christian traditions and things like that. And it has nothing to do with individual rights. It has nothing to do with freedom, it has nothing to do with free market economies and all these things that are essentially would separate right from left in America. So if you are someone on the right and you're thinking you want to identify with or support the quote-unquote alt-right, you might want to take a moment and think about this. Now, I just want to point out, however, the alt-right is whoever wants to call themselves alt-right, just like Antifa is whoever wants to call themselves Antifa, all these different things. But Donald Trump was not supporting Nazis or KKK by saying that on one hand there were bad people on both sides and there was hate and violence on both sides, which is true. And the second thing is that, so he said there were fine people on both sides. And the thing is also true, the fine people were not the Nazis or the KKK people or white nationalists. There were just a few regular Southerners who felt that their protest to keep the Robert E. Lee statue up was hijacked by the racists, by the bigots, by the KKK, who at least the KKK have some cultural connection to, not really to Robert E. Lee, but to the Confederacy. So there, although Lee himself had nothing to do with the KKK because he was the one who went and made the compromise at Appomattox, and Lee himself never owned slaves, and there's many other things that why Robert E. Lee is not a symbol historically of the KKK in any measure. The KKK developed during Reconstruction. Really to be the militant wing of the Democratic Party, and that's really what they were about, was about keeping Republicans out of government and getting Democrats into government through terrorism, because the South was being won by Republicans, black Republicans, because the Republican Party is the party of individual freedom, which is what most freed slaves wanted when they got out of slavery. They wanted to end this collectivist idea that they were different because of the color of their skin. They wanted to embrace the idea of individual freedom. And plus it was the Republicans who freed the slaves. What is this guy doing? So the KKK was founded to put a stop to Republicans being elected, who happened to be black, and by doing so through terrorism. So Robert E. Lee really is not a symbol of the KKK by any means. Really, what Robert E. Lee is a symbol of, at the end, that he was willing to end the war and return to the Union. like I said in a previous video, that's really why he deserves really to be honored, not because of his service to the Confederacy, but rather for his willingness to give up the fight and rejoin the Union. That was probably his most heroic moment in his life. And what really the KKK was the opposite of that. But that's neither here nor there. But when Donald Trump was talking about fine people on both sides, when the people on the side that was against taking down the Robert E. Lee statue, he was talking about not the Nazis or the KKK people, he was talking about the regular Southerners who just wanted to keep up the statue. And again, there are valid arguments on both sides, whether to keep statues, whether to destroy the statues, whether to move them to museums, whether to maybe install plaques to explain. In certain ways, taking down these statues is almost akin in a certain way to denial of what happened. It's always said that, one of the worst things he could be is a Holocaust denier. And I agree, it's pretty bad. I don't know if it's one of the worst things, but it is a pretty horrible, evil thing to deny the Holocaust, as well as stupid and wrong, and on many. But is it the worst thing to do? I don't know, but it is pretty bad. For sure, it's really bad. How's this any different? It's basically historical denial of what took place when you removing memory of these issues. Of course, I think all of these things on both sides are just being funded by George Soros. I really don't think. I think all of this is astroturfing. All of this is false flag. I really don't think there's anything. And it's a small minority. And when the Nazis marched through Skokie, they just got ignored. Nobody went and stood in the street to get run over. I mean, and then when this girl's mother said, you tried to silence her, but now you gave her a bigger voice, I wouldn't be surprised if that's what she was doing, meaning she really felt herself to be a martyr for her cause. She wanted to die. It was basically suicidal for the purpose of bringing out your cause, which I can understand if you really believe in a certain cause. And she certainly was not one of these violent people, is what it seems. It seems that she was one of the fine people on the other side, as Donald Trump said. But it would seem, was an intentional martyr. I don't think she really cared that much about her own life if she would go out and be in the middle of the street to get hit by a car, because if this guy was trying to kill people, he would have gone on the sidewalk. Of course, there's a lot of things with this whole story that are very weird. Which, again, it goes back to what I'm saying about how the alt-right is not the right. It's seeking to destroy the right. And it's most likely a left-wing cabal, probably funded somehow by George Soros. Probably they're not even aware that George Soros is funding it, because there's probably all these different shell groups. And they probably don't even know where the money's coming from on either side. But my feeling is that Soros he's done this in other countries as well. This is really his modus operandi, to just destroy countries so he could have financial gain. It's not about the politics either. It's all about the money. And he has ways to gain from the fluctuations that take place because of these things economically and so forth. And that's his whole game. And if he can destroy Donald Trump, who's being totally innocuous here, just goes to serve George Soros's bottom line. That's just how he operates. That's how he's operating in other countries. And it's horrible and disgusting and needs to be called out. I mean, there needs to be some kind of investigation into George Soros. How this man is walking around free, I really don't understand. You know, if anything, he should be indicted for what happened, because in a way he's responsible for this girl's death, and should be. But of course, you know, he covers up all his footsteps so well that he's able to cover it up. Now that being said, let's look at these people who call themselves the alt-right. And they call themselves that in an ironic way, just like progressives are really regressive. So the alt-right are really, they're not the alt-left, they are the left. They're just a different form of left, meaning they're the nationalist left as opposed to the globalist left. That's what really they are. And all the time there have all been warring factions within the left, just like we saw in, during the Russian Revolution between Lenin and Trotsky. It's the same kind of story, essentially. But these are two different prongs of the left, in a way, two different branches of the left who hate each other. That doesn't mean that they have anything to do with the right or the center. And in a sense, the right really is the center. The American right is. What America calls the right is really centrism. And what Europeans call the right is really just a different prong of the left. Because Europeans don't have a true right. They just have two different prongs of the left. Now, and all of this is doublespeak in order to fool people. But the fact of the matter is, when they call themselves alt-right, they really are the left. They're just a different branch of the left because, again, they're national socialists, meaning socialism is a leftist ideology. But instead of being globalist socialists, they're national socialists. The KKK comes from the Democratic Party. That's the left-wing party. And their ideology is essentially the same, collectivist ideology and so forth. But even other things, what does the right in America really hold dear? Life, right? The question of pro-life versus quote-unquote pro-choice, which is really pro-abortion. What is the stance of the quote-unquote alt-right on this issue? Well, they've stated it, that they are pro-abortion. Why? For the same reasons that the whole abortion industry was founded, for the same reason that Planned Parenthood was founded. Marilyn Sanger was a racist. She was a white supremacist. And she believed in eugenics. And that's why she founded Planned Parenthood. And essentially, Planned Parenthood is basically the old KKK lynchings. Just instead of lynching adults, they're lynching in the womb, because the vast majority of the babies that they kill are African Americans or other minorities, because it's really a lynching program in a sense. And that's what's really going on. And there are many other issues that the alt-right basically are the opposite of the right. They call themselves the alternative right because they seek to undermine and destroy the traditional American constitutional right. And so if you identify with the traditional constitutionalist right, or with the right because of Judeo-Christian values, which is a different issue, although they usually interlap. The alt-right is not the place for you, and I know certain people who like to call themselves that they're identifying with the alt-right for various things, but it really doesn't make sense to me to identify with this movement in any form, or to use their phraseology. Now, that being said, I think Richard Spencer's words about Israel and Zionism should really be a wake-up call for Jewish people to reflect on, are they making the right choice supporting this movement called Zionism? Now, they often think, well, there's no other choice, but it's really not true. I mean, we see some of the most pious Jews are either anti-Zionists or non-Zionists. And in many ways, Richard Spencer is right. There's really very little difference between his white nationalism and the Zionist Jewish nationalism. They're both basically the same thing. And me personally, I oppose both, and I rather like to look at individualism. And also, if you look at what is Zionism? What is the state of Israel? It's a socialist country. They don't have religious freedom. They don't have really any individual freedoms. A friend of mine, he talked about how he was, after much difficulty, elected to be a chief rabbi of a town in what they call the West Bank in Judea and Samaria, and what he went through, and how he almost got arrested just for believing in freedom, in individual freedom and rights. That's pretty scary. So, think twice if that's what you want to support. I mean, I know people who basically believe that, but it's not for me. All right. God bless. Please like, share, and subscribe. But, be aware of what you're supporting. Don't just jump on bandwagons before you know what things are really about. That's really my main point. If you really believe in those things, you're free to do so. It's a free country, But don't use terms that you don't know what they are, All right, God bless. Thank you.